Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. He's ahead of his time. But anyway, not all great leaders are good people, you know. And the thing that in high schools and junior high schools and universities, one of the hardest things to get across to people is that not all high performance people are good. You know, they're just not. You know, God or whoever works in his mysterious ways, but they're not all good. No, he was a shithead, but never got an award. All the money, you know. At least I got an award yet. I haven't started to really give my money away yet. So from the Queen, but that's not why I'm giving the money away or doing the stuff that I'm doing. But it's quite remarkable. Going back to the schools that I went to and the grammar school, and I set up, you know, a music scholarship, and I've set up scholarships where my dad used to go to high school. And I was back at my high school a few weeks ago in the beginning of discussions to set up scholarships there. It's quite remarkable. But not that many people give back. And the bullshit, the movie, Play It Forward or whatever that bullshit is, that's such a fucking joke. Because essentially nobody does that. Nobody does it. 15 or 18 years ago, when they came up with, I forget who came up with it. It might have been Gates, maybe not. Billionaires, they're going to all pledge and give 95% of their money away. You know how many people have signed up for that? 0. Warren gave $35 billion to Bill Gates, Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. You know how to manage it better than I do. But nobody gave the money away. That's a phantom. It's like phantom income. I mean, it doesn't happen. Questions? I'm here for as long as, not as long as.
All right, before you guys ask questions or make a comment, there are mics over here. Please use them, because if you don't, we'll call your attention to use it.
Because the pundits on YouTube, how can that black bald guy, doesn't have a pair? Before we got mics. I don't even read you the comments about, they'll look at the candy bowls that you had in front of you. Some of you ate some and some didn't. And they'll make a comment that, hey, that guy, no wonder he's all fucked up. He eats too many sugar calories. I don't even, they can notice that, but they can't follow the steps. It's quite remarkable. Well, it's not so remarkable. I've been doing this a long time. And we've been videoing and YouTubing these for a long, long time. The kids, and everybody's got a comment. But since Corona, I'd say probably 70 to 80% of the comments are positive. Pre-Corona, there weren't as many positive comments. But the fact that I've called a lot of these things negative oil, high interest rates. I've been pretty right about most things. I don't know if the YouTubers that are the naysayers stop listening to me, maybe, because they have nothing to poke at or less to poke at. But I've been pretty accurate in my commentary. But nobody wants to hear that as a species we're through. Hardly anybody wants to hear that. Even though it's not gonna happen for 300 or 400 years. I don't. It's not that I blame them. I really. It's questions, comments. Yes, sir.
How relevant is the phrase that Costa reminded you of? Dress British and think Yiddish. How relevant is that?
1,000%. Now, the fact that I was the only non-Greek, I didn't really appreciate till now or in recent years. But he used to say, dress British, Mr. Peña, and think Yiddish. It's just, and the fact that I was with the Alsabaugh family. These aren't all coincidences, kids. The fact that I called negative oil. I was the only human being of almost 8 billion people to call negative oil back in February 2020. It would take me a lifetime to explain to you how I knew negative oil was coming. But as they say, or as the pundit programmers say, there's yet a algorithm to duplicate 100,000 transactions in life. But see, I find that unusual because there are algorithms to duplicate 10 million chess moves in life. There's plenty of algorithms about that. But as far as, business decisions, there aren't any. But to answer your question, it's address British and think Yiddish. Because irrespective of what Hitler said about the Jews, and in my opinion, Hitler was killing the wrong people. I don't mind him wiping out 6, 8, 10 million people, but not the people that, created a lot of the commerce. But people that have accomplished things are quite often, like when you get back, like I told you before, all the good you think you're going to do and the good you're going to do, nobody's going to appreciate it, kids. No one. And that's a shitty thing to say. Well, it says 3 things. 1, you're with the wrong people. Your wife, your son, your daughter, your father. That's number 1. Number 2, it says that you have not outgrown, in spite of your upbringing, mostly because of you following me and coming here, you have discovered new vistas that are more important to you. Your family should be important to you, but not the importance you put on it. We're past where you have to chew the food and put it in their mouth. We're way past that by about 100,000 years. But getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, when you do that for the first time, and it'll come in different forms. Sticking up to your father-in-law. Well, you shouldn't be talking to him anyway. Sticking up to your dad. Sticking up to your significant other who is a bully. And all of a sudden, you're going to grow, you're a little teeny lady, you're going to grow 6 inches. But it's not easy. When my dad and I came here, he stood under this chandelier, this Napoleon chandelier, crystal, that's real crystal. And I have my arm around him, and he looks up at the chandelier and he says, "Dan, just tell me it's not drugs." And I said, "It's kind of like drugs, Dad. It's oil and gas. It's addictive." But he came for 3 weeks. He stayed 6 days. He felt so uncomfortable. My mother, who came to die here, never stepped in this castle. She lived in the cottage. The whole time she was here, and she died there. She felt uncomfortable being in here. Or she never was in here. And she used to go around the windows. And she would talk to the gardeners and say, "How's my son doing?" "Well, ma'am, he's in his office." "Well, no, I don't want to bother him." That's the height of feeling uncomfortable, out of your comfort zone. My mother from a little village in Mexico. Your parents will feel a similar discomfort. But they first lash out and they say that you're crazy. They first lash out, "Why are you doing this?" And then your mother say, "I had you, I carried you." That wasn't my problem, Mom. That was your decision. It was a bad decision, Mom. See, you won't say that. And even with all this training, most of you should have never been born. That's a harsh thing to say, isn't it? doesn't make it not true. Like I kept pointing to you and saying, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because and I'm not an anomaly in the world of high performance people. When I'm sitting in here with some alleged hitters, I'm not saying anything that strikes them as unusual. But if I was sitting at your Thanksgiving dinner talking this shit, I would cause heartache. Where'd you find this guy, this old psychopath? It doesn't make it not true. This thing here, Dan Locke contacted me when he was 23 years old, and he came down to buy me breakfast. I didn't do breakfast, but he came from Vancouver, Canada. Pudgy little guy with pimples all over his face. And he gave me this. Okay, I still have it. And I told him what to do to sever his relationship with his family. All the things I'm telling you. Chinese. Fuck, he didn't say that, but I could see in his little eyes. Fuck. How can I do this shit? And I always tell people with great difficulty. But he did. And now he's all grown up. He's got a nice wife. It's not easy. And as Thomas said, most of you won't do it, or you'll be on the 12, 13-year program. Question. Back in the, Now he didn't tell, but I knew or know his uncle.
You know my uncle?
No, the one that came here.
The one you trained about 10 years ago.
I trained a member of his family.
Yes, you did.
And, what is his economic status today?
He is the richest person I've ever known. And he's embodied everything you taught him. And he didn't tell me anything of where he learned anything. I thought it was all him until I started watching your videos. And then I realized he was taught.
Okay, what's the question?
You talk about radiating energy.
Correct.
And I wanted to know how at your age you can be such a stallion. And how do you do it? Is there a regimen we should follow?
I'm a freak about testing. I test my bloods 2 or 3 times a year. I'll try almost anything that's new. I'm not a big proponent of stem cells, although I've had them 5 times, and people say that I'm more or less on the cutting edge of science, and not necessarily science that's approved in America, FDA science that's approved someplace else. I've gone all over the world for various potions, and I have to work at it. I don't eat that healthy as much as I could, but I exercise. I've got 15 pounds of fat on my belly, but I'm in good shape. I'm stronger than. I'm probably stronger than anybody in this room. At 77, weight-wise, lifting weights, and that shouldn't be. That should not be. So that either says something about you or me. But I know you got to keep fit. And even though I have good genes, because people live a long time in my family, Sally is the oldest person in their family. Everybody's dead by the time they're as old as Sally. So Sally's fighting the curve. I'm riding the wave because people live a long time in my family without doing any exercise. The doctors say that then, unless you get hit by a truck or something like that, you should easily go over 100, 110, 120. Because I have great genes. They live to 98 anyway. And with all the shit that I do, I'll be one of the first persons when they come up with a pill, that you live forever. I'll write a check for $100 million. I'll be the first one to take it. Now, Sally wants us to be the third one to take it. She wants somebody else to double-blind test before we do it. But I'm a lot older than she is, so I just write the check and try it first. But I'll answer your question. But I've always been they used to say back in the 60s and 70s, high on life. I don't know if anybody says that anymore, but I've always been high on life. I've always had tremendous energy. But now I take 3 or 4 naps a week now. I never used to take naps. I used to make fun of people who took naps. But I mean, I have a lot of energy. But I'm still doing what I like. It's a big difference. I won't say I loved it like I used to love it, but I still enjoy bringing you guys across the goal line. You know, Roberto, he looks a lot better on TV now than he did when I met him. But, you know, he's, and 70 million, that's such a big fucking deal to me, but for most in this room, it would be. You came to Josh Kim's seminar. I mean, we got some big fucking hitters out of that group. It's not that hard when you stay focused. Not if you stay focused. Remember, those who get laser beam focused first, stay laser beam focused longest, win most. And we've got so many people. Now, the guy that's been contacting Sally with text is the billionaire buddy, not buddy, he's not a buddy of mine, but Sally and I were talking when we walked over it last night for dinner. We both remember meeting him the first time at the Churchill Hotel in London with grease under his nails. He was a motorcycle mechanic, come programmer. Now he's a billionaire. I mean, I won't say that he's not bright, because he is bright. He's bright enough. Anybody that makes $1 billion, is not stupid. Short of winning the lottery, but I mean, we've seen a lot of kids make inordinate amounts of money, which normally equates to success. Some of the guys, my mentees, unfortunately, should have never made the money. They should have also rolled down the inside of their mama's leg, but now they're rich and, they're not such nice people. But I still enjoy what I do. And the day that happens, that occurs that I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it anymore. Because I haven't had to work in almost 40 years. Now just imagine if you didn't have to work, you had plenty of money, had no debts, 38, 39 years ago. The college kids say, how do you get out of bed, Mr. Peña? I mean, how do you go to meetings? I don't think that way, but I mean, I haven't had to do this a long time. And arguably, I'm better at it now than I was 5 years ago, because we're still continuing to upgrade the program, and it's the best practices. The best, and we continue to, make billionaires. We don't have as many billionaires as the 90s, but we're making billionaires sooner than the 90s. We're making them sooner because the market's going our way. And, once we get on that wave, I tell the kids, stay on it until, we hit the, land. And at some juncture, for those of you that follow the program, making money will become boring. Because it's so easy.